So before I start, quick question on how many of you do not know DALL-E 2? Excellent. Okay. Right. So, I mean, I've been quite an advocate of how artificial intelligence is definitely something that is going to be the way forward for humanity. Being big evangelist of that. So, just for your information to kind of give you a sense on what DALL-E 2 is. So, it's an AI system that can generate realistic images and art from a text prompt in natural language, right? So, what this basically essentially means is that if we search for something like using this tool, like an astronaut riding a horse in photorealistic style, DALL-E 2 will be creating images like this. Or if we say teddy bears mixing sparkling chemicals as mad scientists as a 90s Saturday morning cartoon, it can generate images like this. I'm humbled to have access to DALL-E 2. There are 30,000 people who have been given access to this particular tool out there. And I've been experimenting a lot with the tool since past month or so. And here are some of the artworks I've created. And these artworks never existed. These artworks are created by DALL-E 2 using the text prompt that is given out there. So feminine robot bodyguard guarding a bowl of soup, realistic digital art 8K is the text prompt, and this is what it created. Abstract pencil and watercolor art of a lonely robot holding a balloon. A golden retriever wearing sunglasses underwater in the blue swimming pool. Now I'm just saying that imagine the power of a tool like this and where humanity is going forward with in terms of creativity, in terms of graphic design. Anuriti here is a marketeer, so she would understand that a lot of brands, a lot of companies want to kind of create customized graphics for themselves, and DALL-E 2 helps us create all of that. So there are currently certain restrictions with the tool, depending on the AI technology today. The restriction number one is that it cannot be used today for any commercial purposes, although in the future, I'm pretty sure the technology is going to be open. Number two, you cannot generate any human faces or human-like faces. DALL-E 2 is capable of that, but with the latest update, it started putting like a distorted face in case you're trying to generate human faces. And you could also edit images using this particular tool today, which is that if you can just upload an image, select a section, say change the background, it will be able to do that, so on and so forth. Current use cases today, in my knowledge, are number one, storyboarding. So storyboarding, I need to, I think, share my screen once again, just a second. Yeah. So storyboarding is essentially like a comic book strip, which is created to create any kind of an animation video or a movie film for that matter. So in this case, you would see that this movie, it's called Namak Raja. It's a film for government wherein we kind of talk about the importance of iodized salt. So for an example, the characters that you see over here, the Indian characters, they were made by hand, but they don't require to be made by hand anymore because we can just now use a tool like DALL-E 2 and mention certain text prompts about the characters we want to create, and DALL-E 2 will create them for ourselves. So character designing is going to be a thing of the past. The AI tool is going to do that for us as well. Over here, you'll see different type of shots in terms of how the movie is going to progress. And this is, again, something that could now be done as part of the tool DALL-E 2. So this is a brilliant use case in terms of how AI technology or DALL-E 2 could be used today in terms of, let's say, number one, storyboarding. Number two, it could be used in terms of visual referencing. Now, need sharing my screen back again, just a second. So let's say if I wanted to imagine how a Kung Fu Panda would look like before the movie released, right? So again, kind of character referencing could be done using a tool like this today. Without further ado, I'll just kind of give you a sense on how this will work. Now, let's say if I have to say a smart cat wearing a fedora hat, let's say what happens. So I've never run this query before. I have no idea what's going to happen. 70 to 80% of the time, the kind of art it creates, it's kind of exactly as per the text prompt, but 10 to 15 to 20% of the time, there are certain variations that happen.
Wow.
So now I did not specify the kind of art I require. I did not give it a text prompt. Let's say pencil art, realistic photograph, all of that. So it kind of just starts giving me, I love this. I'm going to see this. So as discussed earlier on, I would invite all of you to share any text prompt that you have to be so that we could kind of create some art together. So feel free to put in your text prompts in the chat box.